And I think I put everything together right. Maybe it's like missing a part or something. I'll just keep looking around for it somewhere. Well, I don't think you're going to find it in your lint trap. Man, you never know what you're going to find out there. If it gets my machine to work.
That's what she said.
Oh! Hey, welcome to another episode. I'm Cliff, and you're probably watching this video because you just bought a welder and don't know how to set it up. There was a time where I didn't know how to set one up. I just got done with my oxyacetylene class and stick class, and I was waiting on the MIG and TIG. But, I had an itch, and I just wanted to learn like right now. So I just went and bought one. I didn't even know anything about setting it up. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you and show you how to set up MIG welder. I have a lot of people asking me, Cliff, can you teach me how to weld? Cliff, I want to learn how to weld. I'm gonna start doing body work on my car, or I want to build something, or I just want to learn how to weld. Well, first things first, you got to know how to set up the machine, and you got to do it the correct way. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and tear down my welder and show you how to set it up correctly. All wire feed welders are pretty much the same. So hopefully this video will help you set up yours. Either you had one for years and don't know how to use it, or you're getting ready to buy one and just learn for yourself, teach yourself. So let's go ahead and start tearing down my welder. All right, so we got the welder all the way disassembled. So when you're setting your welder up for the first time, first thing you really got to know is what kind of wire you're going to run. I have gasless flux core, meaning you don't need to have shielding gas bottle. You can just run this by itself, or you could run solid core wire. Solid core wire takes shielding gas. Yeah, they're 75-25 CO2. CO2 is cheaper, 75-25, which is 25% carbon dioxide, 75% argon. It runs cleaner as it is more expensive, but that's the stuff I like to run. Solid core wire with 75-25. That being said, pick your wire. After your wire is picked, then you can start setting up your machine. Either you got a 2-pound spool or a 10 or 11-pound spool. Depending on your welder, you could probably only run these, or you can run both, or even the bigger ones. On this particular welder, the biggest one I can run is the 10-pound spool. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up for solid wire. Setup is very similar to the flux core wire, just you don't have to add gas, and it's different polarities. Polarity being electrode positive or electrode negative. I'll show you that later on in the video. Below the 2-pound spool, it already has a setup to where you can just put it on. Your washer, your spring, and your nut. And that's how you install the 2-pound spool on the welder itself. I don't like running that stuff. It's really dirty. So I'm gonna set it up with this ER70S-6 solid core wire, very common. And you got to use the adapter. The adapter is reverse thread. Install that onto the roll the correct way to where the wire goes counterclockwise. If you do it this way, it's just going to get kinked up and you're not going to get it feeding right. So install your adapter. Remember, reverse threads. And install that onto the post. And the same thing as the 2-pound spool, you got to put the washer, retaining spring, and retention spring in. And when you put this on, don't put it on too tight. All the tension spring and nut with washer is only to stop this thing from spinning anymore, so it doesn't free spin. So when you stop welding, you don't want it to keep going and unravel. Without the spring, washer, and nut, it likes to free spin. See how it stops? That's what you want. If it's too tight, you're going to put stress on the motor. You're not going to get your correct wire speed. So just enough. And you want to use a nylock, something to just lock that nut in place so when this spins, it doesn't spin the nut off. If you get this nut fall off, then the roll is just, when you stop welding, it's going to keep rolling and unravel. Not fun re-raveling that or cutting wire off because it's just wasting material. So after you get that on, then got to go over to your whip, being electrode / MIG gun, make sure everything's there. This is the trigger plug. If you don't have this plugged in, this won't work. Gotta have that plugged in. Also, you gotta have your liner. Some guns don't have liners. I've seen them with like a plastic liner. Ugh. Wow. Most of them should have liners and they're good for 030 or 035 wire. Anything above that, 045, 065, you need a bigger liner. You can probably still run it, but yeah, you might need a bigger liner. But just starting out, I don't think you really have to do much. It should come pre-installed. Or this whip probably be already pre-installed. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to put it on. Make sure it just slides all the way in, all the way back to the drive roll. Snug it down. You could also, on this welder, you can pop the drive roll off and make sure you have a proper groove. See, this one has different grooves in it, slightly bigger than the other. On this one, it's marked 030, 035, 024. So we're running 030, this side facing out. Now that the drive roll is in the correct position, the whip is in, make sure to plug it in. Now, if that's plugged in, your trigger will work when you turn it on. Any kind of kinks in the wire, this one's got a kink, go ahead and cut that out. You see how the wire goes counterclockwise? It is closer to where it needs to go. Some guns actually feed on top. So in order for that to work, you got to flip the roll around to where it's feeding up the top. It's going clockwise. This one's counterclockwise. Different machines have different setups, but concept is pretty much the same. All you really want to do is just give this enough tension to where it's going to want to feed the wire through. Not too much or you're going to smash the wire. So wire is locked down, it's installed correctly. So since we are running solid core wire, we want to run electrode positive. Where your whip is, that is your electrode in. Your electrode goes on positive terminal. This is how you switch the polarity. You can go from electrode positive to electrode negative. Solid wire does not like to run on electrode negative. 70% of the heat to the welding arc is from the positive side. All 30% comes from the negative side. So this is your ground wire, ground clamp. It's not always negative. It all depends on your polarity. You can have electrode positive or electrode negative. Like I said before, we're running solid core wire, so we want to have this on the negative terminal. Make sure those are nice and snug, not too tight. Now we are running electrode positive. For flux core wire, we want to swap this terminal over to the negative side, ground wire positive side. Now we have the MIG gun. Now this liner goes all the way through the neck, all the way to the machine. Your shielding gas comes out around where those threads are if you're running shielding gas. If you're running flux core, there's no gas that's going to come through if you don't. So first thing is hook up your gas diffuser. So this is what holds your nozzle, your tip, and diffuses your gas. See the 4 holes? That is where your gas flows through. Don't cross thread it. Cross thread it, you're going to have problems. If it's not tight, your shielding gas is going to escape through the threads out the backside. Now, contact tip. This is where I made my big mistake. When I first bought my welder, I did not know what these were. Didn't come with any. You can look at the tips itself and it'll read right on it what it is. And there's different styles. Some longer, some shorter and fatter. 030 tip. So typically you don't want to install this until you have your wire ran through, but sometimes you get lucky and the wire just comes through anyway. So I just put this on. If it doesn't come through, you got to take this off, feed the wire through, and then feed the wire through the tip and screw it on. On this tip, it has kind of like a cone. So if the wire is just off a little bit, it'll find its way into the hole. Now the tips, I don't really care about what I use to put them on, as long as you don't bend the tip. Oh, that's dirty. Vice grips are dirty. The tip is installed. Next is the nozzle. These things always get dirty. All kinds of spatter gets in there. You gotta clean it. Your nozzle directs the gas, and you don't want it sticking out like that. You're not gonna get no shielding. Unless you're using flux core. If you're using flux core, you can have the nozzle like that. All you're doing is really protecting the threads and internals. You can even run flux core like that if you wanted to. Doesn't matter. But if you're ever going to run solid wire, that's going to be all dirty if you've been using flux core. So just put the nozzle on there. Run it like that if you're using flux core, or even like that. But solid core wire, you want it right at the tip to where it's just recessed inside. That's the way I like to run it. Maybe just a little bit sticking out past the nozzle, but not too much. If you run it too low, you won't have no shielding gas. It will escape out the back end of the nozzle. So, shielding gas is pretty self-explanatory. You got to go get your tank, however means you choose, welding shop or whatnot. Maybe you already got one. On this one, I got from Matheson. 25% carbon dioxide, 75% argon. Then you have to have a flow regulator and your hose to the machine. Some machines don't have this. I got mine jerry rigged with wire. It works fine. I can put a hose clamp on there or just get a new hose, but why get a new hose when you can just make that one work? So yeah, not too hard to set this up. Just make sure everything's tight, and when you hook it up, there's no leaks. I usually test for leaks with like Windex or some kind of cleaner that bubbles. Then if you're wondering what to run, there's always the chart inside. Some machines don't come with the chart, some do. So you can look up what you're running, which is solid wire. So these two are solid wire. Then I'm running 75-25. You could run CO2. And it also has the flux core setting. I'm not running that, but so for my wire, I'm running ER70S-6 on direct current electrode positive. That is electrode positive. 75-25 gas. Then we're going to the 030 wire. And you look up the gauge of metal, or first you look at, on this machine I could run 120 or 230. All depends on how you're plugging it in. Let's just say I'm running 120 and I want to weld 1/8. So 1/8 and 030. I need 6 and 60. Set it to 6 and 60. Now, these settings will get you close. You could always just like dial it just a little bit one way. By a little bit, I mean just a little bit, not much. Or you can go hotter, dial it up or dial it down on your voltage, or you can also do the wire speed. You can dial down your wire speed if you want less, or maybe a little more. All depends on how fast you're moving, how slow you're moving, your tip to work distance, your drag or push. It all depends on you. These settings right here just get you close. So that being said, let's go ahead and feed the wire through. So when you're feeding the wire through, you don't want it coiled up like that. You want to straighten it out. straighten it out coming out of the machine. Big curl is fine. Just nothing coiled up or kinked. Just pull the trigger. Wire feeding through. Feeding until it comes out the tip. Oh, I got lucky. Came right through. If it gets too long like this, don't put it back in the machine. Just clip the wire. Now, when the trigger is not pressed, shouldn't have no spark whatsoever. Nothing's live. Pressing the trigger, it's going to be live. So not live, live. If it's sparking like that, without you pressing the trigger, something's wrong. It ain't right. Shouldn't even have any conductivity going through the nozzle. Only the wire. Now that we have the welder set up, you should know the correct way to set up your welder. If I missed anything in this video, let me know down in the comments. And like and subscribe to see future videos. If you want to know anything else, maybe tips and tricks for welding, let me know. I can do another video on that. For welding for the first time, have a fire extinguisher ready next to you at all times. Wear gloves. I have many of them. I've went through quite a few pairs. Wear protection, either leathers or a long sleeve fire retardant shirt, or just regular long sleeve. Protect your skin. The welding arc is 10 times brighter than the sun at 10 feet. So it's very bright. It will burn your skin just by having your skin exposed to the light. Don't look at the light, you'll burn your eyes. There are different kinds of protection for your head when you're welding. I wear a beanie sometimes. Sometimes I wear nothing at all. But it's a good idea to protect your head underneath your hood. Those sparks, they can go anywhere. And they'll go down your boot, and you're going to be having some fun for a minute. Wear a proper welding mask. There's a lot of different types. There's auto faders. There's straight lenses. They even have mag lenses. See if I can get one of those for you. At your local welding shop, there are different kinds of magnification lens that you put underneath your hood. Help you see a little better. If you can't see the weld with your current shade, swap the lens out or turn it down to a lighter shade. The glass shades, they have anywhere from like an 8 all the way up to a 12. So find the right shade for you. You got to see the weld, and you don't want to burn your eyes. Sometimes you'll use a shade and you'll still see spots after you're done welding. No good. Go to a darker shade. Just be careful. Make sure there's nothing that's going to catch on fire in the area. Don't get electrocuted. You can electrocute yourself. Not fun. Or fun. Depends on you. If you like that kind of stuff. But yeah. So I hope this video has helped you. I remember when I got my first welder. This is my second one. You saw my first one in the video. I still have it. I think I've had it for about 16 years. But when I first got it, I didn't know that it needed a contact tip. I was welding with my buddy Brandon in my stepdad's shop. We just I couldn't figure it out. My buddy Brandon's like, I got it. I'm like, no, you don't. It's not supposed to be like that. But yeah, contact tip. I didn't even have it. And I was running solid core wire without shielding gas. You got to run shielding gas with solid core wire. If you don't want to run shielding gas, you got to use core wire. Flux core wire, you don't have to use any shielding gas. But this also produces a lot of smoke, a lot of spatter, and slag. It's not going to be pretty, but it gets the job done. I prefer solid core wire. It's a lot cleaner and a lot nicer. I only use the stuff when I have to. If I didn't touch on something that you're looking for, let me know. Maybe I can do another video and touch on that topic. But happy welding.